Some of you expressed concern about the length of these videos. For your convenience, check out the table of contents on the right-hand side. Feel free to start at the beginning and work your way through the video for some awesome in-depth insights. But if you see what you came for, or just want to see something over that you didn't catch the first time, please feel free. And as always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Alrighty guys, so let's talk benchmarks. Well, the very first thing we're going to want to know is how does a 1 gate compare to a Nexus First or Forge Fast Expand? I'd argue that, the FFE might be as economical as a 1 gate. However, Nexus First is far and away superior to both builds, at least in an economic sense. Here's a side-by-side comparison from 245 to 10 minutes. Purple representing our Nexus First build. You can see at 245, this is going to be a common timing throughout all of our replays and whatnot. 245 is basically a benchmark time. It's 17 probes. All builds, basically regardless of what they are, except cheese for our cannon rushes, proxy 2 gate, whatever, are gonna have 17 probes here. When you reach the 430, you begin to see a divergence. You actually have the typical 1 gate, 23 probes, being 2 probes ahead of the 21 probes of Nexus First. Why is that? Well, you actually have to save up Nexus money for your Nexus, which does involve cutting some probes at key timings that will ultimately result in getting 1 or 2 probes behind. No big deal though, because less than 60 seconds later you're going to have a 3 probe advantage compared to that 1 gate, because the 1 gate, guess what? It's only producing off one Nexus, and double production really quickly overcomes single probe production at a given time. 645, well, we'll discuss that in a lot more detail, but this is a fairly common attack timing that you're going to want to be aware of. 830, probes getting even more in favor of the Nexus First build, as 1 gate, well, it works in a funny way. Okay, so you're basically getting the same economy early game as the Nexus First, at points even getting a better economy as we saw at 430, but you're sacrificing mid-game probe production, so your probe count's going to go lower in the mid-game. So the longer the mid-game kind of drags on, unless you're able to establish a third base, the further behind you're getting compared to your own Nexus First build. There are responses from Zerg that will kind of mitigate some of the damage from 1 gate. As far as the 1 gate falling behind, well, Zerg has to take gas or they fall behind, blah 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 blah. And we'll get into all the finer aspects of that, but what you really want to know is that the 1 gate has economically a weaker mid game, and that they're forced to make something kind of try to happen there, even if it's just taking a risky third. And we're going to really explore that concept as we go through this. And this is probably last time we're going to look at Nexus First, but just going through the timings real quick. 245, 17 probes, that's standard. 430, well, we're starting to save up for our expand, and we have been. 30 probes, we're getting back ahead. 39 probes, 51, 57, and it just skyrockets from there because of double chrono and all that. Well, let's move on over here to our 3 games that we're going to be looking at today. We're not going to be looking at a Nexus First game. We're just going to look at 3 different examples of what you could see off of a one-gate expand. Now, this is not a comprehensive list. This is more about pattern recognition. If you can kind of see certain timings that you just want to prepare for, well, if a timing attack comes, you'll be ready for it. If it doesn't, we'll give you some options to use that army you just made, but it doesn't set you so far behind as to be game breaking. I know as Zergs we're drilled to think, if we make an army and we're not attacked, we're screwed. Well, in some senses that's true, but Heart of the Swarm gives us a lot more options, and please bear that in mind. Over the course of this video, as some fairly basic ideas are discussed, but I feel like fundamentals are super, super important. Once you've got a solid foundation, you can branch off of that into some more abstract ideas, and we're also going to be exploring those here today. So, just going to go over how to read this chart. This is our first game going to be Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus Alicia. Yu-Gi-Oh! An awesome Zerg player. He actually is going to, be at 16 drones at 245. That's the highest drone count we're going to have. As you see with exclamation marks, there's some reasoning, and we're going to go into that as we get into the games. But just bear in mind, this is kind of like a warning symbol, just a talking point. 17 probes, as I mentioned, baseline for all three builds, and then moving right on through. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus Alicia is more of like a timing attack, really early timing attack, but we're going to discuss how this comes about, in the actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus Alicia section. Hero vs. Barcode is going to be more of a mid-game timing, and then Nurchio vs. Adele is a mid-game tech kind of timing with a greedy third. So this is, again, 3 different examples of what we could be seeing, but in no ways is this a comprehensive list. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus Alicia. We're going to begin it in the setup stages of the game. That's going to be from 2:45 to 4:30. Then we're going to run into the early game aggression stage. That's 5:30 to 6:45, and this is kind of a transition area between the two. You can clearly see this in this replays. I'll make sure to point it out to you. But we are starting at 2:45. I just want you to bear a note. Yu-Gi-Oh's drone count is at 16. So yeah, let's switch right on over back into this game. Couple of things to note actually in the game itself. This is when the Cyber Core is just laid down 245. It will always be this way in a one-gate expand. So just bear that in mind. Also worth to note is that Alicia has 1 gas right now, and this will allow him to get a expansion down a lot quicker. That's going to play a role in several of our other games, but bear in mind it also delays his tech. Gas is something Protoss absolutely have to have. So there are little tells to tell you where this is headed. Oops, going that way too fast. Alright, so we've got the pull finishing up. This is a very basic build. There's actually a pylon blocking right now for Yu-Gi-Oh! So he's going to be delayed on that expansion for a little while. And yeah, we can actually do this at ×2. Got 6 link coming on the way. That's going to be able to clear out pylons, any kind of aggression that the Protoss may be throwing out. Now it's important to notice that Yu-Gi-Oh! Saw there was no ramp being held here as far as pylon forge probably about 25 seconds ago. So he's seeing the Nexus goes down. At this point he knows this is a one-gate expand. It's about 4 minutes into the game, so he's already kind of working towards something that's a little unsustainable. He's already getting the 3rd hatch, no gas, trying to stick with this very Wings of Liberty style where you get 44 harvesters and then you get gas and then you can finally do something in the mid game. This style is not as effective against a one-gate expand, and that's something we're going to be seeing a lot of here. This first game is to set the standard timing down for the first possible aggression but it's also going to show an example of, unfortunately, Yu-Gi-Oh! Not necessarily making the best decisions. As I said, this is a very economic build, but it's super greedy in the fact that it does not get geysers. An early timing attack with Zealots or whatever would really put this build to the test here, and Yu-Gi-Oh! To the micro test for sure. So that's just something to bear in mind. Now we are at 4:30, and that is one of our key timing. So let's go ahead over here to our handy dandy chart. Now we're at 17 drones and 21 probes. So basically throughout the last minute and 45 seconds, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been able to make about one drone. Why? Because it's a one gate. He has to make some units, or else he's going to be super vulnerable to, you know, 2 stalkers, 1 MSC. You might have, or I'm sorry, when I say MSC, Mothership Core, 2 Zealot harass. There's a lot of different things that could be coming at him. So he has to go ahead and prepare for this. This does set Yu-Gi-Oh! Behind where he would want to be. So from 4:30 to 5:30, the next 60 seconds, we're going to see Yu-Gi-Oh! And Alicia switch from basic setup mode into aggression mode. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still going to be an economic from 4:30 to 5:30, as he is going to make 5 drones, but Alicia only makes 2 because he's getting ready for a timing attack. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Will be making 13 extra drones. The build he has chosen to do actually tries to get 44 drones up by like 6 minutes at max. So you can already see some kind of where he's going to be at relative to where he wants to be. This one gate expand doing lots of damage indirectly to Yu-Gi-Oh! Just in scare factor alone. So yeah, taking a look at all of that, let's just go right back into the game. Alright, so we've got the Mothership Core going ahead chasing these Zerglings out. Yeah, not really too much to report right now. Little things to note though, 2 gateways are coming up. And these wings are, you know, applying pressure, doing some scouting, really trying to figure out what the timings are for these gateways. Are they just a wall, or are they actually going to be production? Okay, so here we are at 5:30, and it's basically at this point that Alicia has completely cut his probe production in favor of some gateways. At this time, he's gonna try to get a proxy pylon out on the map, and he's gonna be making probes out of both his Nexus during this. But he's really hoping to do a lot of damage with his timing attack. Yu-Gi-Oh! On the other hand, still trying to play this like Wings of Liberty, and we're gonna see what happens here. We've got some scouting around right now from Yu-Gi-Oh! He's trying to make sure that this probe does not get any pylons down. And here we go, probe about a quarter health, well half health actually, quarter of its total life. 2 pylons do go down, and this is going to be super hard to kill with just Zerglings. And unfortunately, right now there is not a completed Roach War for Yu-Gi-Oh! It's going to be finishing up here in the next couple of seconds. And we've got the first wave of units now completing for Alicia here at the 6:45-minute mark. So this is basically what marks the very beginning of this timing attack for Alicia. From this point on, it's going to be proceeding into the next phase of the game, which, let's go ahead and pull that up. Yeah, so from 6:45 to 8:30, we're going to be having the attack be defended, or, you know, it kill them. Could be either or. But Alicia is going to have to fall into a more economic role, where Yu-Gi-Oh!, if he can successfully Defend this is going to have complete map control and dominance. However, he's got nothing but lings and just now the ability to make roaches to defend this. We're going to come back and check on Yu-Gi-Oh! And see how he holds this, if he holds this, and what the consequences are for that. But let's move right on in to Hero versus Barcode, where we're going to be looking at exactly the same scenario, but key differences between Yu-Gi-Oh's defense there and Barcode's. In our last game, we actually had Yu-Gi-Oh! If you remember, go for a pull into 2-hatch into gases at 44, Wings of Liberty, Stefano style play that was very characteristic of either Max Roach or Quick Broodlord Investor way back in the day, and by that I just mean a couple patches ago. Alicia, on the other hand, chooses to go 1-gate expand. We looked at 6-minute 45 second timings as well as 10-minute timings. Now we're going to be looking at Hero versus Barcode. So in the previous game we went pull then hatch. This game we're actually going to go hatch then pull. That actually will account for the difference in 16 drones versus 15 drones. This 16th drone actually, let's take a look, became this hatchery. So that's why we've got that little bit of set behind. Now it also became this pull. So again, if those two things hadn't been built, it would be 17 drones. You build a pull, boom, down to 16, down to 15. At this point in the game, we still didn't have a second hatch in the last game. So with all that being said, that accounts for everything else. Barcode, of course, at 17-17. So life is looking pretty good right now for the Protoss. 17 probes, that's exactly where he wants to be for par. Now we're going to be moving towards the 4-minute and 30-second mark, which is going to be the transition point where Hero gains a lead on his pull then hatch brethren. You see he'll be up to 2 drones, where Barcode, because he's not doing such an aggressive timing, is going to be up a probe. Now these little advantages will become much larger advantages. This is very much the butterfly's wings causing a hurricane philosophy, but you'll see more of that as we get into it. Let's just go ahead and go through this replay real quick. We're going to be looking at our 3-minute and 5-second timing here. This is actually a pretty crucial timing. If you remember in the last game, I actually talked a lot about this 1 gas compared to 2 gases. Well, Hero has actually built 1 gas and isn't mining from it yet, in order to build a Nexus here around 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So this is a key difference compared to our last game, because in our last game the Cyber Core actually went down before the Nexus. There's actually no Cyber Core started right now. Hopefully you'll notice that. Okay, so that being said, there's no wall off here. It is at this point, 3 minutes and 5 seconds, that an Overlord flown directly into the Protoss base is going to scout that there's not a wall off here. Haha, guess what? You can even see him right-click this area here. Why does he do that? Well, it is very possible that the Nexus is hiding in this just a little bit of shadow here. If that's the case, and there's a significant, build time, it could be a Nexus first build. That will change what Barcode wants to do. He has to find out. The suspense. The suspense. He knows now, okay? So it was only a little bit of shadow that could have possibly been hiding it. There's definitely not a Nexus built right now. Probe was hiding, not hiding well enough. Okay, so when that occurred, a gas was built. Hopefully you're beginning to see now that as soon as you recognize that your opponent is doing this style, gas gets built. This is a huge, 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 huge thing, because the sooner this gas is built, the safer you're going to be. You don't need 2 if you build it this early. In our previous game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Needed 2 because he scouted Alicia's bases so late. Alright, so moving right on along, we're going to see the here around 3:30 when the spawning pool finishes. The Zerg is going to be just popping out 4 Zerglings. That's going to give him enough map presence to be able to lightly harass his opponent, check out what units have been built, and maybe even get in for a read. Now there's something else we're going to want to identify here as well. When this gas is built, see, we're still at 2,500. This is just now when it was finished. The current harvesters are 2. This is not a mistake. Barcode is going to be very, very smart about when he builds this gas, because if he has 3 on here, that's really going to cut into his mineral count. Less mineral count, less drones. So he knows just by the timing on this Nexus that the Cyber Core is not down. He's even verified that was Overlord. You know, the Cyber Core is not likely to be hiding over here, simply because it would need another pylon, that wouldn't be necessary, so on and so forth. It just wouldn't make sense for Hero to try hiding that, because it would cost an extra 100, and he doesn't really have that much left to spare. So he feels a lot safer right now, so he's only putting in 2 drones to the extractor. Around 50 gas, that's actually going to be around 4 minutes and 15 seconds, about 33 seconds from now. He's going to add a 3rd drone. That's going to let him get metabolic boost when he wants it. Now he's going to be playing with these gas timings all throughout the game. You're not going to want to have to emulate this in your own play. You can if you want to, but the general concept is having the gas and just getting a little bit is more than enough. You don't have to go full steam towards this. Alrighty, so we've got the hatch first finally finishing up. A little bit of harassment here from this probe. Nothing too major. Finally getting scout here on the Cyber Core. Nexus going down. There's the pylon. Queens are coming along nicely. And there we go. We've got that 3rd drone being added. And here's the scouting lings. This is all just very, very basic stuff. He wants to clear the probe with these lings, but actually not targeting those down right now. This is actually going to be a straight face check at the Nexus. And just more drones being produced. Metabolic boost now being researched. As soon as metabolic boost starts getting researched, he pulls off 2 from the extractor. This again just allows him to get out some more drones before adding those guys back to gas. Alrighty. So we're at 5:15. We've got metabolic boost on the way, warp gate on the way, 2 gateways, including this first gate, cybernetics core, a little light harassment, some bruised up lings. You know, you really couldn't ask for a much better position if you were Barcode. Now, Hero's not in a bad position by any means. It's more a issue of, well, lings are in his base, so full scout is part of this. There's not going to be much hiding what Hero wants to do, but the lings, you know, are forced out. Stalkers coming out. We've got a drone, you know, moving here to the 3rd. Pylon goes down. Probe was able to block it. So we'll even probably see a Stalker Zealot harassment. Now, there is no mothership core being built right now. Again, that would cut into probe production. Not really something Hero seems to be interested in. You know, because by delaying that cyber core, he obviously delayed the mothership core. They are, you know, mutually exclusive. Or, wow, I think that's not the right word. The cyber core allows you to make the mothership core. There we go. But yeah, we're at our 5:30 timing. So at this point, we still have a pylon being used to block the third. Now this can definitely be used for that 6-minute 45-second timing that we saw in our first game. If you'll actually think back with me for a moment, what was the time that we saw the 2 proxy pylons go down? 6:15. So that's only a 45-second difference, and this one has the added bonus of blocking the third by itself. So because he's revealed the pylon, he's not going to feel quite as much pressure at 6 minutes and 45 seconds because he knows he's forced out some units to both kill that pylon, and because drones aren't going to be beneficial, you do reach max saturation if you don't have a third base. So all of this being said, Hero's not going to be so much interested in the 6-minute 45 timing as he is the 10-minute timing. This is going to play very heavily going into our our orange sections of the grid. You know, this is the revving up period, this is the danger period. Here we actually have the Stalker and Zealot. This is just a light harassment. There's no mothership core, no real warp gate even to really help out here. This is literally just trying to force out some lings to deal with this. Remember, every 2 lings that are built are basically 1 drone not built, so this can really pay off in the end. Now, of course, he already wants to force out some lings to deal with this pylon, but yeah, you know, he's gonna try to delay this expansion by harassing us even more. Really good decisions here by Hero. Now, we are at the 6-minute 45-second mark. We've had the second gas built as well. The 6:45 gas is actually kind of key. There's a couple of things about it. Basically, your first 100 gas are spent on metabolic boost. Your second 100 gas is spent on the layer. You add plus 2 more gases. Or, I'm sorry, you add your 2 workers back to gas. At 6 minutes, you start this gas. This second gas, that was when you start the layer. As soon as you start the layer, you build the second gas. Halfway through, you build the third gas. When the layer finishes, you build the fourth gas. At this same time, he adds plus 2 to the extractor. So basically, once metabolic boost is started, 1 guy mines 100 gas, enough to build a layer. Boom, add 2 to gas, start this, add 3 to this. Boom, perfect. Halfway through layer, add another gas. 1 layer finishes, add a 4th gas. Alright, so now we're taking a look at the Nerchio versus Adele games. First, we want to go ahead and set up this 2:45 timing. Basically, right now you're going to see that Nerchio is actually sitting on 14 drones at 2:45. There's a couple reasons for this. He's actually doing a 15-15 build. That's 15 hatch, then 15 pull. This obviously will drop him down to 14 drones at the 2-minute 45-second time when he builds the spawning pool. But it's kind of a trade-off because these other builds, yes, they have more drones, but what they gain in economy, Nerchio is going to gain in production. So he's going to sacrifice that economy for production. As you'll see at 4:30, he's actually far ahead in drones. You know, he's got a 4-drone lead on Yu-Gi-Oh! In particular. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was doing a 3-hatch before gas build, so that requires cutting some drones. Hero is doing slightly later 16-16 build. So, you know, Hero, of course, had to get out some defensive lings. Nerchio gonna feel a lot safer because his pulls up quicker. He gets queens a little bit quicker, because of the earlier pull. He also gets production a little quicker because of the earlier hatchery. So that's going to translate into him getting drones, a lot more drones, a lot quicker. You know, you can see him getting the 2 extra ones compared to Hero, just because Hero needed to get lings out onto the map. Nurchio, he feels a little safer. 5 minutes 30 seconds. We're going to be moving into that eventually as well. You see things starting to kind of even out. Hero, of course, only a drone behind now. We also see a drone behind at 6:45. We'll explore that a little more distinctly, but Nurchio, of course, just favoring a more production-based for that mid-game advantage. Whereas Adele is going to be doing a tech-oriented strategy. Of course, we showed the 6:45 timing, the 10-minute timing. All that's left is to show a tech-oriented strategy. A lot of times you will see Stargate play, either Void Rays or Oracles. Oracles not so much in Zerg versus Protoss, but Oracles are actually what we're going to see here. Of course, you could also see Phoenix and that sort of thing. But essentially, when you see a tech-based strategy, it means that the timings that we saw earlier are still possible. There will still probably be some fake outs or whatever, and you can never really be too sure, you know, is this tech? Is this going to be gateways? Is this going to be a 6-minute 45? Is it 10 minutes? You're kind of in the dark as a Zerg player at this point in the game, so you have to just prepare for these timings as knee-jerk reactions. Of course, the benefit is if you make the army and you don't need it, you can always use it as an attacking / scouting force. You just drone up behind it. And that's really what we're going to see as an overall arching theme in the Nurchio versus Adele games. But, you know, all that being said, let's just go ahead right on into the game itself, as this is a very awesome game. Now, we just want to take note, this is when the Cybercore is first started, 2 minutes 45 seconds. You guys should be very familiar by now with that little nuance, but back this right on up because we want to see this mostly from Nurchio's point of view, when he sees what he sees and that sort of thing. So actually, let's do it this way. We'll even slow it down to ×1 for this. When is this gas built? Basically, this ramp. Now, Nurchio, as basically assumed by now, this is a 1-gate expand. He sees, you know, there isn't the corner of this. He's got it sending and then getting into the right angle. But at this point, he's completely convinced. This is at 3:15. But this gas has been up for 19 seconds. So basically, it's 3 minutes where the ball is revealed. And you can actually see that very, very clearly. As, you know, he's going up the ramp, he's going up the ramp, he's going up the ramp, he's going up the ramp. There's nothing. No forge. No gateway. Is there a Palin? Is there a Palin? Is there a Palin? No. So while all of this is going on, remember this extractor costs a drone. It can always be canceled to send the drone back, but he wants that gas as soon as possible because right now he doesn't know if this is a cannon rush, gateway, or I'm sorry, a forge up at the top, style cannon rush. Or is this a 1-gate expand? Is this a 2-gate proxy? You know, there's even some cheese that could be being thrown at him. So right now, he just wants this gas up as soon as possible to deal with whatever could be thrown at him. Most likely, of course, is the 1-gate expo. But don't think this means it has to be a 1-gate expo. It could mean, you know, 2 gates proxy right on over here, anything like that. But this is the appropriate response. When in doubt, build an extractor. Alright. So just taking a look now, we see, you know, the assimilator coming up for Adele. Protoss taking that second gas does mean he's going to get the 4-minute 30-second expansion rather than the slightly earlier one we saw in our last game. So yeah, basically right now we're just looking for certain key timings. We're going to see the 4-minute 30-second Nexus, like I was just talking about. After that, we'll see it around 5 minutes and 30 seconds. There will be +2 gates built for a Dell, but this is, you know, all really standard setup stuff. We're not going to spend too much time on this portion of the game, as we're kind of beating a dead horse here. There's the expansion we talked about. Finally getting the wall off there. Warp gate research about halfway done. Lings going back home, just scouting around, seeing what's up. There we go, there's the 2 gates. It's mostly for a wall right now, but it will allow light pressure at the 6:45-second mark. Now, what we want to see more than anything is not Adele's build order so much as Inertio's responses. We've got the spine crawler going up just in case. Now, take note, he is actually just finishing up a second extractor. This is a little bit different because he is at the 44 supply mark, and we have always seen this second geyser get taken around that time, but there's no third. Zerg does not need a third against 1 gate expands. There's just too much going on around this 6-minute 45-second timing that it could cost you the game. Remember, losing that third is what really hurts the Zerg player. Then the question becomes, when do we take the third? Well, we do see this Zerg being sent over here. We're a little bit beyond 6 minutes 45 seconds, but we can see that, you know, because the timing has not come, the Zerg feels safe to take it. But what would have happened if a timing had come, if proxy pylons were laid down? We see obviously the Overlord's in a great place to just face check for pylons. Nothing. So no pylons in these very key areas. Nothing moving out across the map. Okay, cool, take a third. Now we just got to prepare for the 10-minute timing. We see the gases being taken, layer going up, +1 carapace, no problem. Ling speed, according to Inertio, is all you need to stop the 645 harassment. The issue is, do the pylons go down? If they go down, like we saw in our very first game, there were even 2 pylons there actually, because he really had to make sure that that went down. Then, you know, roaches of course will help, but that's because Ling speed wasn't already in the equation. Once Ling speed's here, well, zealots are kind of history, at least until higher tech shows up for the Protoss. Alright, so we're definitely beating a dead horse here. Big picture, build a gas as soon as you see 1 gate expand, you're fine. Don't let any pylons go down, you're fine. 645, have Ling speed, if possible. If not, use roaches. And if you see nothing at 645, feel free to go ahead and take an expand. Bear in mind, guys, this is top level play, so the numbers might fluctuate just a little bit. I'm not saying, you know, at exactly 645 go take a third, because if you're in Gold League, your opponent might just be flubbing up their timings. But if you know the timings and you're on top of your own game, you're going to beat them anyway, even if you do take the third a little early and they still try to hit the attack. So just bear these little adaptations based on League into your play, and you will be fine, guys. We're going to be moving right on in now to our 6:45 to 10-minute timings, which hopefully you will learn a lot from. If you're enjoying this, guys, I urge you, please go ahead and hit like and subscribe, as every little click you can do on our channel counts. It helps us greatly. Please share it with your friends, as we want this information to get out there to as many people as possible. When we last saw our friend Yu-Gi-Oh, he was actually getting hit with a minor timing attack here at the 6:45 mark. This is really the first major timing attack that is possible. Most builds do incorporate some kind of light pressure at this timing, if not an alright full out timing attack, which is what I would define Alicia's attack here as, for a multitude of reasons, but mostly due to the map control. The dedication to this attack actually, leading up to this, and then the map control sacrificed if this attack should fail. Right now we have a fairly even income tab, 30 harvesters for Yu-Gi-Oh, 29 for Alicia. This a direct result of Alicia's pressure. Otherwise, you know, from 530 to 645, Yu-Gi-Oh would be able to use his injects popping off, because that's when, you know, queens really start to get active, to just pump out drones. So this is an interesting timing attack, or an interesting place to attack as far as timings are concerned, even if it's just light pressure, because this is exactly when a Zerg wants to be hitting all his injects with drones. So without, you know, continuing to beat a dead horse, we can just go ahead and see how this timing attack is going to be effective. We've got the probe, you know, being hidden there, mothership core, just kind of guarding this territory a little bit, more units being warped in. Now we do see a large amount of sentries and then a large amount of zealots. Stalkers aren't going to be particularly useful here because Alicia is aware that, you know, this is a kind of Wings of Liberty style build that doesn't get the Roach Warren usually until 6:30 or 7 minutes. That's when it started. So this Roach Warren was started a little bit earlier than that, actually at 5:45, because he recognized it being a one gate expand. Remember guys, scouting the one gate expand that this ramp is not taken is one of the biggest parts, and then just adding gas to your build, earlier Roach Warren, and adapting accordingly. So that's what we've seen here from Yu-Gi-Oh! The question becomes, did he adapt soon enough? We've got 7 roaches on the way. Some of them are about to pop. It looks like most of them are here at this third. So yeah, actually this looks really good for him. He's swinging the lanes right around here for a nice little surround. Good force fields there, making the roaches mostly not able to attack, being able to parcel up the Zerg army. Looking really, really nice for Alicia. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Being smart to kite zealots with roaches, so all of this coming down a lot to Yu-Gi-Oh's micro relative to Alicia's. Actually, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pulling ahead in supply quite significantly here, and already resuming droning, so he's feeling very confident in this attack as well. So yeah, this is kind of the end of Alicia's attack period here. We've got some Lings and Roaches in production from Yu-Gi-Oh! Just in case. Oh, and actually it looks like, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is losing that flame. Not really much could have been done there. This is going to force the drones to run away, but another thing going to come in here. Looks like it is going to snipe off the mothership core, but I think that's okay. I doubt the mothership core is going to be rebuilt. So we are here at 8:35. Let's take a look at our handy dandy chart here real quick. And what we're going to notice is at 8:30, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Alicia, 42 drones. We've actually gained 12 drones in the last basically minute 45 seconds. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Has complete dominance as far as drone production. Alicia has made 9 probes, but again, only making 2 probes at a time. That's not anywhere near as much as Yu-Gi-Oh! Has the capability of producing now. So we're sitting around 38 probes now, and we're going to be moving towards 10 minutes. Now, 10 minutes is kind of a secondary timing. In the Hero vs. Barcode game, we're actually going to see this 10-minute timing in like a full swing effect, but this is a timing that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to need to be aware of and prepared for, as Alicia may be able to swing back into the game with a small timing here. He may also elect to take a third and try to play a defensive game, so we're going to have to keep an eye out, you know, through Yu-Gi-Oh!'s perspective to see exactly what's going to go on there. So we'll hop right on back into the game. Moving right along, we've got an Overlord being sent into Alicia's base. Go ahead and clean up the pylons. Gas is being completed now for Alicia. Stargate coming along nicely. And here we go. We've got the Wing Army showing up here at the front of Alicia's base now. Some Wings getting killed off there. Not too big a deal. They're mostly there to buffer for the roaches. Now, remember I said that a 10-minute timing is kind of key? Well, Yu-Gi-Oh! Already had this army. There's no reason for him not to apply a little bit of pressure with it. He's not going to overcommit. He just poked up the front, saw what his opponent had, forced in some warp ins, and got out. Let's see. Does he see the Stargate? Yeah, easily. He even saw that it was a Void Ray. Boom. So now he knows what to expect. He's already starting spores. He's got a Spire on the way, taking some extra gas. It's great. He basically has complete map control. He's got his opponent locked in on 2 bases, and he knows the tech his opponent's going. He can assume his opponent's got 4 gas. So what's he going to do? Just take his 5th and 6th gas and take map control. Probably take these 2 bases. One of them will survive. He's getting a Spire, probably going to be Mutalisks. I mean, this looks like a great position for Yu-Gi-Oh! Why? Because he was able to successfully defend this area. Now, I did say at the beginning he made a mistake, and I stand by that. He did go for this Wings of Liberty style with delayed gases, etc., etc. But once he recognized that this was a 1-gate expand, yeah, he took the 3rd, but he did not over drone. He went ahead and made some extra lings to just go ahead and get ready for a 6:45 timing attack, and preparing for that, applying this pressure at 10 minutes just in case his opponent was trying to apply counter pressure. He now knows his opponent's going Stargate. He knows what tech to go. He is in full control at this point in the game. Last we saw of Barcode versus Hero, Barcode was actually in the middle of being harassed pretty significantly by Hero. His 3rd had been blocked, but he's got his gas timings up. He's starting his layer. He's doing a really good job on his own economy and mechanics. But there is a possibility of some light harassment. It is the 6:45-minute mark. A Stalker and a Zealot have shown up. There's also a Proxy Pylon. He's not real sure on the Cyber Core timing, so he can't be absolutely certain Warp Gate isn't finished, though if he assumed it, he would be right. Now, it's really important at this stage to take a look at our probe count. Now, we're at 34 probes at 6:45 compared to 29 in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus Alicia game. So, we've actually gained 5 probes, but we've allowed our opponent to get 11. Remember, in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Did not really respond perfectly. He could only make lings without speed, so he had to make a lot more lings, which cut into his drone count. Here, Hero is trying to apply pressure, but Barcode isn't really fooled by it. He's continuing to drone pretty significantly. But now moving into the 8.5-minute mark, in this kind of transition stage, we're gonna have 12 drones made. So again, Hero really doesn't seem too worried at this point. Now, from 8:30 to 10 minutes, we can easily see he only makes 1 drone. So that's really when he's gonna hit that maximum drone count and switch full-fledged into army. Where Barcode, you can see him going from 6:45 to 8:30, gaining 11 probes and then 5 probes. So a very similar thing is going to happen to him as well. If we compare this back to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus Alicia game, huge difference. Barcode has 7 more probes at 8:30, 5 more at 10 minutes, but you can also see that around 10 minutes, this build's looking very weak. If we go back to our Forge Fast Expander Nexus first build, well, 57 probes is where it'd be sitting at. So this is moving into where map control is just fully going to go straight to the Zerg favor. Zergies, if you can hold until this period without significant damage being done to you directly or indirectly mostly being in the form of making way too much army with a fake attack like the one we're seeing here by Hero, then, dude, there's no way you can lose this. But let's move right on in. 8.5 minutes is really what we want to see, as we're just going to run right on through this fake timing attack, third base getting built. Really no major thing is going to happen during this period except as our gas timings, some bases gas timings for Protoss, you know, a couple Robo Bay, Forge being built. Again, this is just a setup period for the major aggression that's going to be coming around 10 minutes. Alrighty, we are getting close. Actually, we've even had just enough time for this hatchery to almost finish. So we're here at 8.5 minutes. And we've got roach speed on the way. We've got a macro hatch on the way, plus an evolution chamber. So we're going to get either armor or attack upgrades. So all of this looking good. We've got a proxy pylon down on the map, mothership core on the way to harass this third. So this is the danger period from this 8.5 to 10 minute timing, because we did not see super aggression in 645. It has to come later. So it can come in one of two forms. It can come in a heavy gateway, or it can come in, you know, a tech form. Right now, you know, there is a robo facility, but this seems mostly like it's for observers. So we're seeing mostly a gateway style. How many gates are we looking at? 3-gate robo. Cool. Alright, so 8.5 minutes. We'll just take a look real quick. Overlord getting killed off. He does not want his opponent to see him when he moves out. So very important to kill off these overlords. The thing is, there is one here, and it's even being warped into an overseer. This is a great decision by Barcode, as he's also going to see this army moving out. He sees where it's moving out towards. He's even engaging here at the proxy pylon. You see he's making 10 roaches now. Glial reconstitution, or roach speed, about 3/4 of the way done. This is a huge moment. He is getting ready for this 10-minute timing based on this proxy pylon and moving out here. So closing in, we're 30 seconds away from the 10-minute timing. This is huge. In fact, we actually see Hero already making a Robo Bay and a Stargate just to because he knows there's a chance this will not work. He has been scouted, and if Barcode has just enough time to make enough units, Hero has to have a solid transition to take a third and establish himself in the mid game. We actually see some really nice force fields blocking up the roaches. Roaches not really attacking anything right now, but proxy pylon a little closer than this one, but we do have a point to retreat back to. So really heavy aggression by Hero. He wants to kill this third. If he can kill this third off, he's going to be in a great situation. That will be more than enough damage to put Hero ahead, but it wouldn't put Barcode out of the game. It would simply make that mid-game issue that Hero has to face a lot more stable. Okay guys, welcome back to the Adele versus Nurchio game. Now we are at 6 minutes 45 seconds. Last time we were looking at this game, Nurchio has great overlord positioning. He feels very comfortable that there's no pylons on the map, so he's going ahead and taking that ever so awesome third base. A little bit late in the Zerg vs Protoss matchup, but he's got a layer on the way. He's getting his third and fourth gas. He's had these 2 extractors up, this one up for quite a while, this one just now getting up and running. But you know, he's expanding towards his opponent. His opponent has actually just about finished a Stargate. This was started at 5:45. It has been up for 55 seconds. So actually probably closer to 5:50. But either way, We're only working in 15-second increments, so that's fine. We do see this rocks being bruised a little bit by some sentries, so we can assume Adele wants to take a third base behind this. Now, this is kind of an interesting idea because in the first two games during this period, we saw, a 6-minute 45-second timing in our first game, a 10-minute timing in our second. Adele may want to move out at 10 minutes, maybe put some gateway pressure in conjunction with whatever he builds out of this Stargate. But because there's no third for the Zerg, only just now being started, it's going to be really hard to launch a timing attack at any point because we've actually got two spine crawlers, up here. Narcio is just in a really good fortified defensive position, holed up in his base, no major weaknesses, so Adele Scott's going to be forced to try to take a third. This next portion of the game is mostly us chronicling Adele's endeavors to do that and Narcio's ability to stop him. Now, you'll notice that Narcio did not make much of an army before 6 minutes 45 seconds. He never really felt threatened, and part of that is not having a third up. But the other part is that Adele Scott is not putting down paladins. Now the Oracle is on the way, and we're going to get here to our 8-minute 30-second timing, very, very close behind this, but actually we see the Oracle arriving at 8 minutes and 15 seconds. Now it's also interesting to note that Narcio's got these overlords very well placed to scout for thirds, and he is poking in there from time to time, as you can see as well. But the Oracle is there to apply some pressure. Narcio, though, already has Spore Crawlers in production as the Oracle, let's rewind this just a second, does reveal itself on its flight path. Hold on, let's watch this. Boom. Flight path. Right in the vision of an overlord. Keep following the flight path. Right next to an overlord. It's really routed around this third base that Adele is assuming Narcio will have. But in reality, the third base has been moved and is significantly later. See, Adele is literally rallied it here. It's not rallied to go here and then here. It wants to deny this third base. So Adele is going to be very, very confused. Narcio mixing the play up quite a bit on him. But in any case, the spores are built just off map awareness, and he's going to be fine, completely able to hold this Oracle with just 2 queens, some spore crawlers. Now the Oracle obviously going to get a couple of kills, 5 kills there, but really that doesn't matter so much. There's a lot invested here. Now there is a huge contingency of lings for Narcio at this 8-minute 30-second point, and that is again due to the ramp. If the Protoss moves down the ramp, big concave, nice around for lings, maybe could even get into the base there, but also he wants to deny this third because eventually Adele Scott has to take a third. Because this is a 1-gate expand into Stargate play, Star Toss is a huge possibility. That does require a 5th and 6th gas. So just with all of this knowledge, Narcio knows what his opponent's planning, knows the timings he wants to hit, and is doing everything in his power to frustrate those timings. We're going to see that very much so in this moment, because Adele Scott is moving out, yes. He's got a Void Array out, yes. Mothership Core, yes. Oracle, yes. Sentries, yes. Zealots, yes. This could be a fairly threatening push. He does not know about this third. He thinks this one, should be built, but isn't. He hasn't seen the 2 spine crawlers. He sees some spores, but you know, he could still do some damage here. So he wants to run along this path, check here, because he's not real sure. That's why the hallucinate is going to go there. But there's already lings on the field to intercept him. Boom. Now, obviously, the lings are not going to be able to handle that at this stage, so Nerchio is going to retreat, but he's got Hydras on the way. He can always warp in reinforcements if he feels threatened. So Adele Scott, not even going to try it, goes ahead, he's going to clear this out, and then finish up the rocks. Now, I don't know if that was his original intention, but I feel like he was going to hit the third. There's no way to prove or disprove that, bear that in mind. But either way, Nerchio, real happy with his Ling Hydra force, and he knows now that the third is going to be taken because the Overlord was killed off. Boom. Nexus goes down here at 9 minutes and 42 seconds. If you compare that to Nexus First and Forge Fast Expand builds and other one-gate expands, this is redonkulously early. So here we go. Ling's going to get sent right on in. And as you can see, Adele Scott is both out of position to deal with this and unable to. That was not a cancel, guys. That was not a cancel whatsoever. So Nerchio just gains a huge lead just by being ready for, guess what? That 10-minute timing. Even if your opponent does not attack you, having units at these times, hugely valuable. So, this is part 2 of the one-gate expand build. This is the 6:45 to 10-minute part. We're going to be moving right on in to the last stage of the game. This is going to proceed from 10 minutes to 14 minutes. And this is kind of the wind-down stage where Zerg establishes map control and economic advantage and really just produces whatever they want. Sometimes the Zerg can go all-out economic, but that's not required. Sometimes they can go all-out tech, like Mutalisks, but again, that's not required. It's up to the individual Zerg what to do with these advantages. But now we've safely dealt with any kind of gateway-based or tech-based threats. We've also limited our opponent on their base count, so we can do what we want. Let's see what these different individual Zergs like to do once they're ahead. Okay, guys, so basically I just want to recap with you. We just saw a minor timing attack from Yu-Gi-Oh! To both scout Alicia and to lock Alicia into his base. Let's think about a moment. The fear was Alicia might be doing a timing attack. Well, Protoss timing attacks work in such a way that, you know, probes are going to get out on the map and hide pylons maybe here. We saw 2 of them up here earlier. But at some point, your higher tech units, your sentries, your void rays, a small contingency of stalkers to escort them, have to move down this ramp to a pylon location. Let's say it was here. Reinforce that pylon location, warp it in, maybe get another pylon location here, warp it in, and eventually do a push here. So the reasoning behind Yu-Gi-Oh! Attacking when he knows Alicia should be moving out here at this location is the ramp. He's not going to have the warp-ins for stalkers because he's sending it on the pylon location. The sentries aren't going to be in the best positions, and quite honestly, if you look at this choke point, it's going to be filtering in 1 or 2 units at a time. So should Alicia have been doing a timing attack? He wasn't, but should he have been doing it, it would lock his army into this little location against a much bigger concave for Yu-Gi-Oh! And with an army of mostly pure Roach Ling, this, compared to this, looks really good. So, again, just reiterating, that timing is defensive on the part of Yu-Gi-Oh! He was attacking his opponent defensively. I know it makes very little sense, but I hope you can see what I mean by this. Now, we are going to move right on in, and... oh, let's turn the volume down on my speakers. Been having some volume issues with Heart of the Swarm. Apparently there's a bug where if you rewind, it increases the volume, something like that. Day9's been complaining about it as well. Either way, we want to look at kind of the late game scenario where Alicia is going to be making decisions to try to get back into this game. One of those decisions is going to be taking a third. This is a 10-minute 45 third. That's a very good timing. It could be a little earlier, but 9:30 is really the earliest you want to see that. Anything earlier, very vulnerable to Hydra timings. Right now, we do have a Spire on the way. We've got this base, looks like it being taken. This one should be taken soon enough. There's a Mothership Core. Remember, Mothership Cores, guys, take basically 2 probes out of production, because it takes a probe 17 seconds to build. It takes 30 seconds for a Mothership Core, so Ling's getting targeted down by this Mothership Core, so just doing a little scouting, some burrow, nice stuff. I like it. Pause here at 11 minutes and 45 seconds just to get another status report. How are our gases looking? Remember, gas is the big deal for Mutalisks. Mutalisks cost exactly as many minerals as they do gas, 100, 100. So you basically want as much gas income as you have mineral income when you're doing this, and you can basically just flood out Spire. So we've got a 4th base coming out. Really good stuff here for Yu-Gi-Oh! And all of this is allowed, yep, there's those gases being taken. All of this is allowed because he has basic map control from the 2 timings he was prepared for. All of this comes down to those 2 key critical timings. These mutas are just going ahead flocking about. Roaches, Lings, again, light pressure, scouting. Just, he doesn't really care about these units. He's going to try and make them as cost effective as possible, but mostly he's just buying time for the Mutalisks, finding out where his opponent is and what's going on. Changeling's getting targeted down there. Alrighty, so I think there's little debate right now about who is winning a map control war. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! On his opponent's side of the map, just targeting down a couple of probes, really being careful not to overcommit, lose anything to Stalkers or Void Rays. Just hiding back here in the little crevice behind his opponent's base, switching up here into the main. There are some Stalkers, but he can easily target fire those. Boom, 2 Stalkers already down, some probes dying from just the collateral damage there, some bruised Mutalisks, but he was really very aware to pull those back, and again, even killing more and more probes here. This is insanity right here. So 7 workers killed by these Mutalisks. Here's that other base being taken. Map control just completely belongs to the Zerg here. This creates a gas explosion so we can warp out even more Mutalisks, and again, that's all Yu-Gi-Oh! Needs to be able to kill his opponent. We can just fast forward on through this a little bit. Even just watch the Mutalisks, because that's where the action's at. Getting chased down by Phoenixes, oh, no problem, I'm going to kill off some Phoenixes. I can lose a couple of Mutalisks. 16 mutas on the map right now, just slaying in the map control department. Look at that creep spread. It is phenomenal. Oh my god, my encoder's dropping frames. Oh well. Yeah, guys, just I want to show you this for the basic reason that you can see all the map control, and again, this is just slowly hammering the nail into the cradle. Infestor, Ling, really nice, tight, defended location. Should Alicia do any kind of timing attack, and now it's just constant harassment with the Mutalisks. Really good Zergling burrow positions. Upgrades coming up, 111 across the board. He's just got that much gas. He's at 200 supply, working on a bank now. has every base he could ever want, and he's just burrowing Zerglings. Oh my god, this is like the most perfect play from Yu-Gi-Oh! But again, all of this boils down to those two timings we've been discussing so much during this. And I know you guys think I'm just beating a dead horse here, but every example that you can see of just the map control garnered by those two timings, it's hard to argue with this raw data. Look at these defensive positions Yu-Gi-Oh! Sitting on. Let's even take a look at this income tab. 1,300 minerals, 1,200 nearby gas. That's as close to 1-to-1 ratio as you can possibly get. Just wow. Hold on. How many mutas are on this map? 8 mutas on the map right now, but he's actually transitioned well over into Swarmhost and Fester. This is one of Katz's favorite styles, so Team Root style, I guess you could call it at this point. Yu-Gi-Oh! Killing off his 4th base. Oh wow, how much longer is this replay? Oh wow, it's got quite some time on it, guys. Anyways, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but do I need to say any more? Look at this creep spread. This is 22 minutes into the game. Complete map dominance by Yu-Gi-Oh! Guys. Can you do it? I think you can. Okay, so the last time we checked in on Liquid Hero, he was actually doing a timing attack against Barcode. Now, income tab, we're actually looking at Hero with 50 harvesters, Barcode with 54. Hero, again, has forced a lot of units out in the last couple of minutes. So we're basically looking now to see, does Hero kill his 3rd? Does he kill some drones? How much of production as far as queens does he kill? Does he kill off some overlords? What's he going to do as far as damage is concerned? So we've got, again, 12 roaches flooding out for Barcode. It's pretty good kiting actually right now, making sure he doesn't lose all of his roaches one at a time. This is just excellent micro right now. Hero, of course, playing very well as well. But ultimately, what you're seeing here is that Barcode was able to kill off the bulk of those forces as well as the pylon. As a result, this Nexus did go down around 20 seconds ago, so 10:30 or so. So this 10-minute timing, again, was not too big of a commitment on the part of Hero. It was mostly a fight to get this Nexus up in position. If Barcode wasn't completely ready for it, if he had tried to over-drone, that really would have given Hero a huge advantage. But as it is, Barcode's able to drone up, maybe to apply a little counter-aggression in the form of these roaches. But he's going to run into at least one photon cannon of the army of Hero, moving right on down to this 3rd. So, actually, Barcode right now, supply block, but more roaches coming in as well. Mothership Core there, going to go ahead and put a timer on Barcode. There's the Colossus, nice force fields there. Not quite picking off that roach, though. And he's going to try again, constant little pokes, pulling off some probes as well, but they are going to get sent right on back. Alright, little miss micro there by Hero. But we actually see the 4th and 5th now being taken for Barcode. Extra gas is going down as well. So this is the stage of the game where basically the Zerg is allowed to... Oh, there's the Spire as well, 2nd Evolution Chamber. Where the Zerg is allowed to take complete map control, spread his creep, get his 4th and 5th base up, have this nice little gas explosion, as we call it. And there's really not too much Hero can do about it. To stop the Zerg from doing that, what he has to do is establish his own 3rd, his own 4th and 5th gas, or 5th and 6th gas. Sorry, I knew I messed that up. Yeah, 5th and 6th gas. This will really help transition into the Stargate play or even the Colossus play, whichever Hero's going to really commit to. He's trying to mix it up a little bit, obviously, with the Phoenix and whatnot, but looks like he wants more of that Colossus big death ball style. Now there's a Roachling army here at 14 minutes that's just gonna go ahead and attack in. We've got a nice little time warp that's slowing down some of the roaches. A good little force field as well. Corruptors showing up. That's going to make some short work of these Phoenix as well as the Colossi if they're caught out of position. And again, we just want to emphasize the map control right now for Barcode. Barcode, of course, putting on the counter pressure. Same rules apply as far as this ramp is concerned. Whoever moves up it is at a significant disadvantage as far as the concave is concerned. And a little bit of light harassment with the Phoenix on the Overlords here. So we do have the roaches moving up the ramp. See how the time warp there is putting them at that disadvantage we talked about. We did have a roach dying there, but again, not the best force fields in the world. Nice little cluster of Overlords getting targeted down by Phoenix. And again, you can see that despite Barcode having these roaches, not really being able to do too much damage, not even being able to pressure this third, he's been able to get his 4th and 5th base up. So he is fine. He is happy as can be right now. And all of this is coming down to his awareness of the 6-minute 45 light pressure, 10-minute medium pressure philosophy. Again, here was able to get the 3rd, so he is stabilized into a solid mid game with, you know, some good stalkers, a lot of sentries. We need to take a look at his Colossus count: 3 Colossi, 26 stalkers, 3 Phoenix, 5 sentries, and a mothership core. So life is actually looking really good for Hero. There's some spines here, some corruptors, roaches, basically everything the Zerg needs to help defend this kind of army, but it may just not be enough. Actually, Hero being forced back up the ramp, forced to use a blink as well. Proxy Pylon going down. This is the timing that really matters for Hero. He wants to kill as many of these roaches as possible, but there are so many Corruptors, Colossus that have already been killed off. There's no Phoenix left to really do much damage either. There's 1 Colossus left. He's warping in, and some Archons as well as Charge Lots, Gravitic Drive. He really wants to continue this pressure. This is a very ballsy attack by Hero. He's actually minimizing the Death Ball movement speed issue with a blink just a little bit. He has a lot larger range with that if he wants it, but the thing is, there are swarm hosts on the map. Locust doing a really good job just hitting into the stalkers. We've got some roaches being sent over here to the 4th as well. Again, this all goes down to map control really belonging to Barcode. But the thing about it is, Liquid Hero was able to get that 3rd base, and the gas is on his side. He's actually up on supply as well. He's able to attack somewhat into this fortified position, but the swarm hosts are doing their job, making a buffer out of his meat shields, while Corruptors come in and clean off the Colossus. Stalkers there as well to defend the swarm host. Looking very, very good. Motion core forced to recall. So again, take a look. Map control. Very, 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 very strong argument for Zerg having map control here. This base was killed off. There is a proxy pylon. Again, we could go through the whole replay. It's 40-some minutes long. As you can see, though, knowledge of these timings has caused a direct relationship to the ebb and flow of the economy of the Zerg. If you match that ebb and flow of the economy to when you know the Protoss is going to be a weak in the mid game with this 1 gate expand, you can basically do what you want to. This is a good build, but it's very hard to the swarm. It's not mapped out. There's no reason to fear it, guys. When you see it, just respond right. Life's going to be fine. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in to the last part of this little section. This is mostly going to be the Nurchio Rape Fest, and yeah, this is just straight up map control. He kills off the Oracle no problem just by holding the tower. Gonna move right on out, and mass Lings, Banelings getting sent out. Huge Ling Baneling Hydra army. This is so Brood War-esque. Hydraling just flooding up the front. Again, this is straight Zerg raw power in the mid-game, because, quite frankly, one gate expands, there is no mid-game. You can even see Colossi failing to deal with Hydraling here. You know, just constant attacks on the front. As soon as the front is dealt with, he walks right around here. Boom. The Protoss does have enough forces to deal head-on with the Hydraling, but it's so slow. If he's guarding this position, he's not guarding this position. If he's guarding this position, he's not guarding this position. Boom. 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 And you can see Nerchio just whittling away here, moving into the 14-minute. Adele Scott being forced to move out. He's going to throw everything he's got into this because he's lost too many bases. And guess what? Corruptors. Because the only thing Adele Scott could have made there are Colossi or Stargate units to possibly kill him. And Corruptors with Hydra support do great against both of those. So we've got the Corruptors just chasing everything down. Third base yet again trying to be taken. Corruptors just, they don't care anymore. Hydraling just being flooded in. Total map dominance. The fourth base has been taken now for Nerchio, but Rape Fest. All of this coming down to the 6-minute 45-second timing, 10-minute timing, good Overlord control, placement, whatever you want to call it. GG, well played. Even Adele Scott recognizing the brilliance that Nerchio displayed in that game. Well, guys, I just want to kind of conclude how important it is to be aware of certain timings in any matchup, really. As long as you're aware of the matchup, what could be coming at you, what's most likely based on what you've seen so far, and you can calibrate different situations into your head rather than just thinking, oh, this is StarCraft, oh, this is ZvP. Rather than thinking, oh, this is ZvP, oh, this is a one-gate expand, or this is a Nexus first. Because each of those will make radical differences in the economy in moving into the mid-game. And your economy, of course, is huge because that's what you're converting into an army. So if you have a strong economy in the mid-game, you have a strong army shortly thereafter. So later in the mid-game. If you have a strong economy early on, you'll have a strong mid-game. Of course, that's more of a Zerg idea. If you're a Protoss, you can have a good economy, but switch into strong tech, and then your regular army, like gateways, falter. That's what we saw here in the Adele and Nerchio game. Or if you go for a heavy gateway, you sacrifice tech. That's what we saw in our first two games. If you basically, one gate expand does get a fairly good economy early on, but then it goes all out production. It could be tech production, it could be gateway production, but it lacks on forge upgrades. +1 chronoed out makes a huge difference. +2 chronoed out makes a huge difference. But if you actually take a look, you know, at our last game there, let's even just rewind that to 14 minutes if we can get there easily. Let's see, where does this take us? This is 12 minutes. Okay, this is good enough. Let's just take a look at one Zerg ground unit. Come on, there's got to be one. Not Zerg, I'm sorry. Yeah, here we go. One Protoss ground unit. This is 12 minutes into the game. No Protoss armor, no plasma shields, no side blades. With no upgrades, Protoss tends to fall apart. They would need this extra gas to get out massive amounts of Stargate units, which I think is what Adele Scott was going for here. Adele Scott, though. Well, actually, I'm going to take that entirely back. There's two Robos. There's a Robotics Bay. There's Colossi on the way. I'm sure at some point he's aiming to get extended thermal lance. So yeah, he's actually switching over into that more Colossi oriented. This was mostly just to bait out Hydralisks, and then he was going straight into the Death Ball Brute Force attack. But he doesn't have the upgrade, so he needs the gas now in order to chrono out some massive amounts of double forge style play. He's got one forge already, hasn't really been able to use it, so he's going to have to make up for that. And the fact is, he's not going to be able to, because his mid game is weaker already. He can't hold the third base that he needs in order to do what he wants. A lot of Zergs right now aren't punishing this third base because they're like, oh, Protoss mid game, it's always awesome. No, that's a Wings of Liberty style Nexus first reaction. This is not a Nexus first game. And guys, if you're in lower levels, that is the big distinction you have to make. Higher level people are already aware of this. This is why they're higher level. This is a learning video for lower level players, and hopefully you learned this core concept. It's not StarCraft. It's not even ZvP. It's gateway expand, one gateway expand into either tech or gateway pressure. Make that difference. Make the difference. Win. And you can thank me later. Thank me in the comments. Actually, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Please hit like, subscribe, share this with your friends if you found it helpful. Share it with your clan, your teammates, with people you play on Battle.net. Anything you can do to get this out there, guys, helps the community and helps me. Thank you so much for watching this. This is Shaft of the Clan Eat Casting crew, signing out.